On everyone. Well, hello to this is HTV HTV 101 part 2. Hello, how are you guys doing? My name is Patrick Ali, your lead educator here at Siser, and these After Darks have been really fun. Now, I must say, I know a lot of you are coming at the 12 o'clock hour and saying, Patrick, this is not an After Dark, this is an afternoon. That's exactly what it is. So today we're just testing out something new. We wanted to see if these pre-registered classes worked well for you guys on the After Dark hour, but we also wanted to see if we could bring that to the 12 o'clock hour to see how impactful we could be at that time, because we're just always trying to find the best ways to obviously show you all of Siser and what we have here today. So I do have to just say right before we get started, hello to everybody. Make sure you're chiming into the comments of where you're watching in from. We got a full crew in the room right now. We got Zipple sitting in the back hitting the 1s and 2s. We got Sneath in the back, the grammatical gatekeeper in the comments. We got Myrna sitting back there watching comments as well and answering your questions. And I know we have all of our friends from around Siser in the comments as well to answer your questions. So if you guys do have them, make sure that you drop your comments down below. We'll throw some of them up on screen. The benefit of doing these After Dark, or in this case, afternoon classes, and having these a registered event is this is great face-to-face interaction or one-to-one interaction with us and with me to be able to ask those questions that you have, all those burning questions in person. Well, last time we were on, actually last week, should I say, it's crazy we're doing these weekly right now, but last week we covered a few different materials in the Easy Weed category, things like Easy Weed Eco Stretch. We definitely tried to cover as many other options as far as extra and sub block and letting you know what all you can create and what the use case is for those materials. So make sure that you watch part 1 of the HTV 101 After Dark classes. But for part 2, this is all about shimmer and shine. I mean, I know it's a TV show, so copyright infringement, we'll bring it back. This is all about shine and shimmer. Gotcha, Disney, no big deal. Anyway, with that, we are talking about glitter. We're gonna talk about twinkle. We're gonna talk about sparkle. We're gonna talk about diamond dust. And most of you are stopping yourself right there and say, Patrick, I know what glitter is. I kind of know what sparkle is, but what's this twinkle? What's this diamond dust type product? We're gonna go over all of that, and the reason why those are very similar the way that they might look or feel, but very much different attributes of each of those materials. Next, after that, we're gonna get into some easy reflective, we're gonna get into some holographic, and then we're gonna wrap this thing up with some Aurora. So not only do I have a ton of info for this live, I have some in-software demonstrations just to make sure we're hitting some of those points, and then we're gonna cap it off with some show and tell, as we love to do every time we do one of these After Darks, just to show you the options and the opportunities that you have with Siser materials. So just to kind of hop in, let's start from our basics. So we're going to talk a little bit about glitter heat transfer material. Now, there are 3 materials, or should I say 4 materials that we're going to talk about right now, again, that are all very similar in the shimmering and the glittery effect that you're allowed to, or that you're able to get with them, however, have slight differences. So I want to go step by step by step through each of these materials and kind of give you the, I'll say the Patrick explanation on how these materials work, so that hopefully when you're making your next project and selecting any of these materials, you can have much more success than hopefully you're getting before, or maybe you learn something new about them. So we're going to go directly into the website right away, and I want to talk a little bit about glitter heat transfer material. Now, glitter comes in 58 different colors, so you can see here the color selection is absolutely massive with this line of material. Now, one of my favorite parts of glitter itself is that the actual material kind of feels like an easy weed with glitter flakes like baked on the top surface. So it has a little bit of roughness to it, to the actual material itself, but it definitely pops anytime you're using this material in any of your designs. Now, with that said, a couple of pieces of glitter heat transfer material that are very important to lay out. It is a laser-friendly material, which means if you have any of those home lasers or you have any laser systems at all, you can utilize this material and actually cut out some of the weeding process by just basically lasering off all of your excess material. So one way to use it. One thing that I didn't mention in the last HTV 101 Part 1 live is that all of our materials here at Siser also can be used with just a home iron. So not only can you use a regular conventional heat press like you guys see us use in the lives all the time, you can actually use a Cricut Easy Press, which is more like a bigger scale home iron, and then you can actually use just your everyday home iron for these materials. So we'll get into that in the application process here in a minute. Now, one thing that is really new on the website and I love about the glitter category specific is we're also showing all the cosplay favorites. We have a ton of cosplay friends from around the industry that love using this because it really does pop, especially under lights in more of like a convention hall. I mean, this really shows extremely well. Now with glitter itself, it does apply to cotton, polyester, cotton poly blends, and leather. So you do have a large variety of materials or garment types that you can actually apply this material on. Now that doesn't take away from the fact that you can do it with paper crafting and other things like that. We just like to give you the base recommendations of what you can actually do. Now, glitter is a little bit of a different application process. It is not, now we talked last week about hot peel, warm peel, and cold peel. Glitter heat transfer material is actually a warm peel product, which means you need about 8 seconds or so off of the press to really let it cool down so that you can peel that carrier hot. Now another thing is where the standard easy weed type products or your standard heat transfer materials come in is they usually apply at a temperature of 305 to 310 degrees for about 10 to 15 seconds. Now as you can see with glitter, it actually applies at about 320 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 160 Celsius for any of our international friends watching. But also we're going to apply this for about 15 to 20 seconds. Now the application I'm going to do here in a second, I'll show you how you can still do the quick tack method, but it's not a 1 second tack, okay? It's going to be a few seconds, but we're going to show you how to actually do that. And as you can see on our website, all of this material and information is always available for you. Laundering, accessories, also all of the cut settings. And as I mentioned before, you can actually click here and download a PDF of all cutters. So not only the Romeo, the Juliet, the Cameo, the Bug, the Brother Scan and Cut is all available for you, and we give you all those recommended cut settings right there. Now, we're going to come back to me for a second here because I do have to explain something. With glitter, it is not recommended to layer. But does that mean that we can't layer glitter? Well, let's kind of talk about that a little bit. So with the glitter heat transfer material, we recommend that you don't layer glitter on top of itself. Being that it is a little bit more of a rigid material, and let me grab one here. We can throw these up on the overhead really quick. So you can see with the glitter material itself, really beautiful colorways, but, let me do it in the mic. You can hear that it is a little bit rougher to the touch, so it's like a normal glitter heat transfer vinyl. So when we layer glitter on top of glitter, what can end up happening a lot of times is we can actually get some of those little glitter flakes in the backside of the adhesive, which can cause little air pockets and channels. Well, when we go to the laundering phase or we go to actually washing our garments, a lot of times that's where water, detergent, and things can get into that adhesive, and then it can start to slowly break down that adhesive, which then you guys end up calling us and saying, Patrick, this thing failed on me. So I'm going to actually show you quickly inside Leonardo Design Studio how we can use what's called the fake layering method or the fake knockout method, or I'm sorry, knockout method or fake layering method to actually use multiple colors of glitter heat transfer vinyl really conveniently. So hopping into Leonardo Design Studio, I'm going to actually pull up my fake layering, and I labeled this for you guys. So if you are watching the replay or watching this back, you'll now know and it's identified of what steps I'm on in the process, okay? So I got this dance design, okay? And what I really want to do is instead of having this beautiful dancer, obviously above the word, I'm going to actually bring her down into the word, and we're going to kind of cut out portions of the word dance to really fit this in. So I'm going to first start by ungrouping this design. Now, for some designs in Leonardo, when you ungroup, it may ungroup all of your individual letters. So if you just double check your work, you can highlight over all of your letters, either right click and hit group, or you can go down to the paths option, sorry, my eyeballs are not seeing today, hit weld, and that will actually weld your entire design together, okay? So from here, what I'm going to do now is I want to change the color of our dancer here, because I just want to be able to see her over the word dance, just so we can kind of get it laid out the way that we like. So I'm going to go in and just zoom in just a little bit, and we're going to adjust this dancer. We're going to make her a little bit longer, kind of fit inside the word. So there we go. So this is kind of what I'm going for with this design. I think that it adds a really cool effect if we can add maybe 2 different colors, 2 different layers. Well, the last step in Leonardo Design Studio Pro is I'm going to highlight both portions of my image. I'm going to come down to all of my weld tools, and I'm going to actually find not the remove front, which we've talked about before. When I click that, it'll actually remove my front layer. We're actually going to use the option stamp keep, which not only will remove my front layer, knock it out of my back layer. As you can see, there's my dancer's legs, body, there's the head and the arms, but it will also keep that front layer for us as well. So moving on from that, what I want to do is I want to go over to the heat press, because I want to show you actually what this application looks like step by step, okay? So I'm going to, on the heat press, as I always say, you guys loved the mini tees when we brought them out for the first HTV Part 1, so I brought them back, and maybe we'll use these because they're cutesy bootsy, and I get it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pre-press my garment like we tell you all the time. And as it's pre-pressing, I'm going to show you that we actually have a cut of the word dance, and then we have our little dancer already cut out, ready to go for us, okay? So with that, I'm going to take my first layer, which is just the word dance, and it doesn't matter what order we actually go in. I prefer to go with the largest portion of my design first, because it's much more convenient and simplistic to layer inside a design than outside of a design. So I'm going to take the word dance. We're going to line that up on the garment. And this is what I meant by the few second tack. Let me grab a cover sheet really quick here. Did I not grab a cover sheet? Oh, there it is. It's hiding on me. I got it. Okay. So what I meant by a couple of second tack is with glitter, even though we can't do the 1 second tack where we apply it for a second and then lift it up, what we're going to do is we're going to actually apply this for about 4, maybe 5 seconds. And the reason why I want to do that is this is going to give the material enough time to bond to the fabric, but also release enough from the carrier so that it's going to be a much easier peel for me. Now, I can peel this hot if I want. In some cases, glitter will stay perfectly. But the reason why we recommend the warm peel is because sometimes this has tendency to peel portions of your design up. But with this being a little bit warm to the touch now, and I can kind of hold my hand on it, that allows me to just peel off that first layer. Just like that. Alrighty, looks like I cut into the carrier just a tad when I was cutting these out. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go in and apply our second layer. Now here's the cool part is, like I said, we have our dancer kind of laid out. All I'm going to do is inlay my top layer into that bottom layer, and now we have a really cool, well-rounded design. So I'm going to bring her in here. And now that this is my final press, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to heat apply this for the full 10 to 15 seconds. This will not only solidify both of those layers and make sure that they're bonded to the actual fabric itself, helps to release that top layer carrier from itself, but ultimately, once I'm done with this, I'm done with actually making my garment all together. So let's go ahead. I'm just going to cool that off just for a second. All right, there we go. And now I can peel that carrier on warm. And just like that, we now showed you how to do a really quick and easy knockout method. Taking one design, being able to embed it into another design, and using glitter. So now I know I can use multiple colors of glitter, and I don't have to worry about layer to layer to layer if it's actually stacked on top, because I will say this too. With glitter, the more you layer it, obviously the thicker your designs. So we always say, unless you're making like a Kevlar vest, you don't need a ton of layers on top of each other. Let's start using that fake knockout method. And a really great resource of that, hopping back over onto the computer, is actually Lily's blog. So if you go over to CaesarNA.com and you click on the blog section, which is up at the top, and just type in fake layer, what you'll find is you will find how to fake the layered look. And this is actually an awesome blog that Lily did a few years ago, which still gets a ton of attention and is one of our most viewed blogs because it really attacks this exact scenario where we're using that fake layer method to with our glitter. And also too, you can always go over to our YouTube, as you can see at the bottom of all of our blogs. And my buddy Joe a few years ago did actually a video showing this method, so it really gives you a lot of insight and education on this process. So I want to stop really quick with the glitter, just make sure, are there any questions that we have? Is there any big questions that people are asking about glitter specific? And then from there, we're going to move on to Twinkle.
Not really glitter specific, but somebody's asking about what you could do about press lines for that first press when the first layer doesn't, or sorry, when the second layer doesn't fully cover the
Perfect. Okay, so the question was, what do we do for pressing lines? So a lot of you out there know, especially when you're working with an easy weed type product, if the carrier for the second layer is smaller than the actual design itself, a lot of times you can get those little carrier lines kind of in the design or pressed into the design. One really easy method for this, for an easy weed type product, is using that 1 second tack. Another method is that with glitter, when we are working with glitter heat transfer materials, you don't get as much of that in your material, but you can always go back, peel the carrier off, and then go and heat apply it one more time, which will help to press some of those press lines on out of there for you. Did that answer the question? Think so?
Yeah.
Cool. Any other questions? Any big ones that are popping in?
There was one other question about how can you add a little border around the dancer while doing the knockout?
Ooh, so you're talking about adding like a secondary contour, right? Okay, so the question was, how do I add a little border? Or for some of us that design regularly, you know it as maybe like a contour or you know, a border fill, whatever it may be. So I'm gonna hop into Leonardo really quick, and we're gonna actually use the same dance design. And now what we're gonna do for this is we're gonna add one other layer, and I'm just gonna add a simple contour around this whole design. So from here, what I'm going to do is I'm just gonna highlight the entire design, and inside Leonardo Design Studio Pro and in Basic, you have this option, which is your Build Contours menu, okay? Now this can be done in any software. You'll just have to use your software's Build Contours options if it's available. And then I'm going to select Editable Contour. Now from here, from this menu inside Leonardo specifically, we'll include holes because we want to ensure that all of the cavities of our designs are accounted for. And then I'm going to change that contour color. And again, this is something that can be changed after the fact. When you guys see me change to really poppy, loud colors on screen, it's really just to make sure that each piece of the process is accounted for so that you can reference it back later. Okay, so I'm going to change my contour option, and I'm going to now select my offset amount, and I'm just going to play around with that offset amount. So I can go a little bit wider. That's about good there. And once I'm satisfied with that, I'll hit apply. And the same rule applies as before. I'm going to select my dance and select that outbound contour, and then I'm going to hit that stamp keep, which again will, as I'm not even doing what I just said I was gonna do. Stamp keep, there we go. Which, as you can see now, has cut that contour off. Now, being that we're still using glitter heat transfer, this is now going to allow me to make sure all layers are touching the fabric so that all layers are applied appropriately, okay? Alrighty, so moving on to the next material, and I'm really excited about this one too, is a material that we call Twinkle, okay? Now, Twinkle, you can make a lot of assumptions of what Twinkle may be. It is one of those materials that if you see in person, it really, really hits well. And I wanna see if we can maybe get a little bit of the effect. So this right here is one of the Twinkle colors. And one of the fun parts about Twinkle is not only does it have those little glitter flakes in it, but it also has these reflective beads, and everything is kind of cemented in like a silicone coating. And what's really awesome about Twinkle too is that not only does it look really awesome in just regular daylight, but let's see if I can grab my phone and throw the flash up. And we may have to shut the light off right behind you, Adam, for a second. Even though we have the studio lights, let's see if we can get some of that effect. There you go. You can really see that twinkle effect in the material itself. So this is the cool part about Twinkle, is with those reflective beads and that silicone coating, it really allows that material to pop, whether it is in, again, normal light, or if you're just, you know, taking a photo with the family and you got the flash on, it really, really shows extremely well. And we'll have some examples of the Twinkle here in a second that I want to show you guys. Now with the Twinkle, as you can see from the website, it is also a laser-friendly material, which is really great to have. It is also available or able to use a home iron or a Cricut Easy Press. With that, let's kind of go down to the color schemes. There's 12 colors that are available, and what I really love about the Twinkle too is we have this rainbow color that has a really fun rainbow pattern that's also mixed in with that fun shimmering twinkle effect. So if you haven't seen Twinkle yet already, you should definitely get your hands on some because it is a really cool material to use. Now, applies again to cotton, polyester, and cotton poly blends. All right, so you really have a large variety of garments and application opportunities. And then again, cut settings are always available right on the website for not only the Romeo and Juliet, but for all the other cutters in a convenient PDF. So shout out to Keith upstairs who does our website and make sure that all of these things are in. Now with the application instructions for Twinkle, Twinkle does apply at that standard 305 degrees, or again for my international friends, which I was totally failed to tell you guys Celsius in the last live, so I'm sorry, so 150 degrees Celsius. And as you can see, there's a little bit of information on each page inside the Siser NA website. So if we are somebody that is using a Cricut Easy Press, okay, for any applications with heat transfer materials that are outside of the Cricut standard iron-on materials, okay, I just want to make it very distinct. They have their own way of doing things, okay, but for us, if you're using the bug press, that means you got to bump the temperature up typically about 30 degrees because there is a differential in temperature and there's a lot more inconsistency in cold spots and hot spots on that platen, mixed with the ability to put enough pressure on. So by bumping up the heat, we're adding a little bit more heat through that material and allowing for a much more successful application. So it doesn't mean you can't use it, doesn't mean you can't use a conventional home iron, it just means that sometimes there's a couple extra steps to make that work. But all Siser materials work flawlessly regardless of what press you're using. Now, with this, it is a 15-second press, and this is a warm peel. And I want to make something very clear with Twinkle. Twinkle is a single press only, okay? And what I mean by that is that if you press Twinkle, and then you go to press Twinkle again, what it will do is it will actually start to mute out, and it will start to, not melt, but it'll start to distort some of that silicone coating, which will distort some of the reflective attributes of it. So if you are going to use Twinkle in any designs, make sure that it is the last and final press of your whole design, okay? That's just one little distinction on the product. So we got glitter, which is little glitter flakes kind of baked on top of Easy Weed to where you can feel them. And now we have Twinkle, which is basically Easy Weed with those little glitter flakes, a lot of reflective beads, and then a nice silicone coating to the top of it. And then what we're gonna do now is move on to the next material, which actually I'm gonna do a little bit of a round robin on this. So I'm gonna actually go to Diamond Dust next for us really quick. Now Diamond Dust is a really fun, awesome material too. I got some examples of it, and I'm hoping you guys can see these really well on the overhead and really just how much these pop. Diamond Dust is an interesting material to me. This is kind of like an it's a mix of like a Twinkle and an Easy Weed without like the silicone finish. So it is a thin material like an Easy Weed with like reflective beads and kind of this pattern that slowly moves along the material depending on how you shift it. So there's definitely some color shifting in the material itself with Diamond Dust, but it also is very smooth to the touch. Whereas a glitter might feel a little bit more rough, this feels a lot like, this is gonna sound weird because it definitely doesn't feel like sandpaper, but if you know sandpaper and you know like 600 grit sandpaper, how smooth and soft it feels, but how rough it kind of almost looks, that's kind of the look of Diamond Dust. It's really cool, really pretty, and I think I pulled out like almost perfect Wicked themed, by the way. I just realized that I got like a Wicked theme going on with the green and the pink, so I'm just, or Cosmo and Wanda. Myrna hits us with the nostalgia. There we go. Early 2000s kid. We can't say 90s kids, but whatever. I'm a 90s kid. So anyways, Diamond Dust is a really awesome material to work with. It's very simple to work with too. It very much feels like an Easy Weed. It cuts very similar to that as well. But just some information on Diamond Dust. Again, laser-friendly material. It is a material that you can use a home iron, you can use a Cricut Easy Press. So if you have those, you don't have to go out and spend a bunch of money on a brand new press. Always recommend to have a good quality, you know, more commercial style heat press. but you don't have to do that with any Siser material. So the actual material itself comes in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different colors to start. Now this is a material that we started in retail first, and then you guys out there just were like, hey, we got to have this stuff. So what we ended up doing is we just relaunched Diamond Dust not too long ago out to the public, and now you can get it wherever you can find all of your Siser materials. The material itself applies to cotton, polyester, and that cotton poly blend. And the only reason I'm making that distinction based on the website for you guys is just so you have the information. So anybody brand new that's never heard of heat transfer material, never heard of Diamond Dust, can come to this video, and now you have real accurate, good information that you can use for your next project. Now, moving on to the application instructions of Diamond Dust itself, applies at 305 degrees or 150 degrees Celsius. And then also, again, with that Cricut Easy Press, bump up the temp just about 30 degrees if you can. And then this is also a 15 to 20 second press. So being that it is a slightly thicker material, usually the time of application is a little bit higher, but also that determines whether it's a warm, a cold, or a hot peel. And as you can see here, you can peel that carrier warm or cold. So definitely make sure that you give it a little bit extra time off of the heat press to cool off. But I actually have a couple of fun examples, I think, let me see, that I used Diamond Dust. I'll go to it right when we get done with this, because I know I have it in there somewhere. But with Diamond Dust as well, one of the other things that you want to definitely make sure that you look out for is that if we are layering any of these products and you never see the "this is layerable" tab on there, that fake knockout method that we showed with the glitter is definitely going to be your best bet and most foolproof plan when you are creating with any of these materials. So let me go ahead and grab a Diamond Dust, and we're gonna grab a glitter, and then I wanna grab a Twinkle. We're just gonna kind of throw these over on the overhead, see if we can catch a little bit of the subtle differences between all three. So you can see with the glitter itself, has those glittery flakes baked on top. That Twinkle has those glitter flakes and a lot of reflective beads with that silicone coating, and much like that Twinkle, Diamond Dust feels very much the same without that silicone finish over top of it. So these are the three that we've talked about up to this point. I want to go over really quickly to questions. Does anybody have any questions, not only about these materials, about applications, about anything that we can answer really fast?
Somebody just wanted to confirm that they should always add 30 degrees when using the Easy Press.
So yeah, question was just confirming 30 degrees, going up 30 degrees on your Cricut Easy Press. That is what we recommend based off of our testing in here. And there's two reasons to that. Number one, first and foremost, the heat itself is inconsistent with a Cricut Easy Press. This is something that's really easy to go to your local hardware store, go on Amazon, maybe not Amazon, go to your local hardware store, support local. Go to your local hardware store, see if you can get a thermal gun, which is just a laser that tells you what temperature when you point it at stuff. And then put it up against your Cricut Easy Press. And what I recommend with any of your heat presses, kind of run that laser around the platen and give it a couple of stops along the way. And what you'll come to find is that all heat presses have some variability of consistency with heat, with how long they stay warm, things like that. So it's always good to test that, but with the Cricut Easy Press, we have just found that going up 30 degrees prevents any of that hot and cold spots from really affecting your material or your application. But also, most of us, my firm pressure or light pressure or hard pressure is maybe a little bit different than you out there, maybe different than our maestro who's normally in here, Anna, could be different than Sneath, than Zippel, than Myrna, than anybody, right? So with the Cricut Easy Press, by going up in temp, you're giving that press a little bit more bake time. So if you are somebody that can't put adequate pressure on that material, you're at least getting yourself halfway there with bumping up the temp to give it a little more time to cook, right? When you make a lasagna, you make all the noodles, that's hot, the meat's hot and all that, you still throw it in the oven for a little bit of time to finish it off. That's basically what we're trying to do with the Easy Press. We're using some of the negative attributes or some of the things that could be problematic into our favor to have a much more successful outcome. Any other questions?
When layering glitter on top of Easy Weed, is there any way to prevent the shrinkage of the Easy Weed?
Ooh, very good question. So when layering glitter on top of Easy Weed, is there any way to prevent shrinkage of the Easy Weed? So if you refer back to the HTV 101 Part 1 class, one of the big attributes of Easy Weed that we talked about is the ability to do that 1 second tack, to simply apply your material for 1 second, peel that carrier off hot, and that'll allow you to move from layer to layer to layer. Now another piece of that is, and one thing that I do personally, okay, so I'm gonna throw my personal life into this mix here of what I do for my business and all of that. I pre-wash garments on with just water, no soap, and then throw them in the dryer. And the reason why I do that with every order is, number one, what happens as soon as you put a pair of jeans, everybody in the room could probably answer this, of what happens when you put a pair of jeans in the wash for the first time. Your wash tub is typically blue because all that excess dye is being run out of the fabric. So we're going to prevent that from happening, of an over-dyed garment affecting our press if we do a quick pre-wash. But we're also going to allow that garment to kind of shrink down to its most natural state, or as close to, because it typically takes about 3 to 5 washes for a cotton shirt to really shrink down to its permanent state. So it really helps that process. The other thing is the pre-press. If you don't want to sit and wash a whole order of shirts and waste your water and your heat and electricity there, let's use some of that electricity then on the press and just do a quick pre-press on your garments before you apply, about 8 to 10 seconds or so. That's going to allow you to kind of do the same thing, but it'll allow you to work within that environment quickly to get all of those layers layered on top of each other. Okay? Any other ones popped in? Yep, go ahead, Adam.
Do you also need to bump up the temperature for the Cricut auto heat press as well?
Ooh, that's a really good question. So I haven't had a chance to do too much testing. So the question was, do you also have to bump up the temp for the auto press? I have not had a chance to do a lot of testing with that one. So that's going to be more of a follow-up to part 3 here. I'll make sure that I get that information if our support team has done any testing with it. I can tell you, as far as those conventional heat presses, I know HTV Ron has one, I know Cricut has one. There's a bunch of them now that are finding the same factory and like, here, we want our brand on it too. We know what you're doing. We know what you're doing. Anyway, with that though, with any of those auto presses, typically they are true. But again, it's a great option and a great addition to your craft room or your business if you don't have one of those thermal guns to really check the temperature and the reading output of your home press. Because that's the other thing too. You know, this one white craft press that I have sitting here could read out temperature perfectly, and then the next one in shipping, the Triac or one of the little tiny wires that actually run the heat or run the information through the press could have been slightly damaged, or something could have happened, which could give me an inconsistent reading. So that's the other thing. I don't want to bash. That's the part that I'm trying to make sure is we're not bashing them. We're just letting you know that you do have to bump up the temp because there are other factors that go into the actual application itself. Okay? All right, so we've gone from glitter to twinkle to diamond dust. Now, we've gone from non-layerable, non-layerable, non-layerable on itself products. Let's go into something that fits the same category, but also has a little bit of layerability to it. So I'm going to eliminate this. Let's go over to our Sparkle page in software. Now, Siser Sparkle is a really fun product. And the reason why I say that is it kind of gives you a combination of all of the attributes that we just showed you between these three. It basically is, now I've explained the way that Twinkle, Glitter, and Diamond Dust all operate. Sparkle is very much like one of those Easy Weed products that just has the glitter flakes actually baked into the material itself. So it's completely flat on the material. Let me grab one piece. Here we go. This is a good one to show. So it has, again, a skin much like an Easy Weed. It feels very, I don't know, thin, soft. And then also too, like I said, you can see those little glitter flakes that are kind of just baked inside of the material itself. And the other cool part about Sparkle is it has a little bit of stretchability to it. And I love that about this material too, because if you are somebody that may have some athletes, like for me personally, I have a daughter that does cheer. Well, as you know, that cheer, using a regular glitter on maybe her cheer shirt or practice items might be a little abrasive, especially because she's a base, so she's used to throwing girls up in the air and she's doing things. Well, I typically go to Sparkle is a really great alternative, or Diamond Dust is an awesome alternative to glitter when you're using materials that will be more in the sports world. Now, where glitter comes in beautifully and where Twinkle works beautifully is for your bags, your bows, and things like that. And I actually have really quickly an example of a little softball bow that was made using just glitter, regular glitter. So there you can see that this is an awesome thing. This is also something that's not going to be touching skin too much. This is not going to be, super abrasive for the actual person using it. Whereas if it was on a shirt, it may have, of course, you literally told me that before we started. It also, too, it's not abrasive on the skin or anything like that, and it really, really shows well. So let's kind of move into sparkle and what exactly this material is. Now, the actual material itself for sparkle comes in 14 different colors. And as you can see, there is a wide variety of different colors. Now, I will plug one that you've seen before. If you follow us at Siser North America on YouTube, we just did a video showing you multiple ways to use Easy Weed, and in that we actually highlighted Sparkle Clear, which is the same sparkle material, has the same glitter flakes, but completely transparent as a top layer in a fake tape method that we did. And fast forward to a few lives from now, we're gonna actually show you how to make that fake tape method and use some of these multimedia options to create designs. So really beautiful colorways that you have available. Again, much like the Easy Weed line, not only that cotton, polyester, the poly cotton blends, but also that leather, which really kind of opens up more variety and opportunity for you. And then as far as the application instructions go for sparkle itself, it actually applies again at that more of that Easy Weed style of application at 305 degrees or 150 degrees Celsius. And you're going to actually apply this for about 10 to 15 seconds. So very much feels, acts, and also applies much like an Easy Weed. Whereas we've talked about a couple of different application instances with these other materials within this kind of like shimmery, glittery line that we're working with. Now, this is a hot or cold peel product. So every time you see that, that just basically means it doesn't matter. If you're in between each layer and you're trying to produce quickly, you can peel each layer and layer them on top of each other. But also you have the ability too that you can peel the carrier hot to make sure that you're layering appropriately, but you can peel it cold if it's just a one press application. You want to give it time and peel it off, you're good to go. Now with the sparkle, which is different than again the glitter, twinkle, and diamond dust, is it's a layerable product. So I have a quick design in software that I actually pulled on over from our Leonardo Design Studio design library. So if you are seeing any designs that we use in the, any of these classes or any of our lives here at Siser, you can always find these over in Leonardo Design Studio. So unlike our glitter layer, where the front layer was knocked out, you can see here we have a solid contour for the background, and then we have our front layer, which is going to be our color layer or add to our design to kind of give us this cool little offset, okay? So what we're gonna do is let's hop over onto the heat press one more time, and I'm going to grab a new mini tee here for us, and I'm going to do a quick pre-press of about 10 to 15 seconds, and I have my good vibes already cut out and ready for me to actually apply to this design. Now what I can do too is one thing we talked about with Easy Weed last week is that when you are peeling, your material, one really easy way is that you can heat up the lower plat in your material, or I kind of do kill two birds with one stone. I pre-press my garment, and while I still have heat on that garment, I'll actually set the carrier side of my sparkle down on the plat and wait for it to heat up a little bit. And what this is gonna do is this is gonna actually make my peeling of my material super, super easy and really like butter, just kind of how we explained with that Easy Weed in the last class. So just like that, I was able to weed out my contour really quickly by using some of the tools that I have around me. Now with that, I'm going to line up. So I've already pre-registered my design, and basically what that means is I've just set my top layer on top of my bottom layer. And the reason why we do this is that I can put the whole design down on the garment together, and now I know that it's not gonna fall off my garment, it's not gonna fall in any weird position, and then I can simply take just that top layer off, and now I've laid the foundation for my design or for my application. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply this. Being that it's an Easy Weed style product, again, using that like 4-second tack method will work, and you can peel that carrier on hot. So there's my first layer, and you can really see, hopefully see that glitter kind of pop in there, or should I say sparkle. And then I'm gonna take my second layer here, and I'm just gonna line that up, and because I was able to tack down my first layer, it's really going to allow me to register the both parts of my design well, so that I can make sure that I don't get any shrinkage or each layer of my design lines up appropriately. So I'm going to go ahead for another 4 seconds. And for this one, I'm just going to simply peel that second layer hot. There we go. You can kind of see what we're working with here. And then what I'll do for the final press on this, as I told you guys before, you can remove each of the carriers, and then you can give it one final press for about 10 seconds or so, which again will allow you a little bit of time for this to bake longer. So if you do get any of those pressing lines, like we had a question before, it'll help to actually press all of those out. So taking that, moving it on over to the overhead here, you can really see how that sparkle effect really takes form. That's awesome. Do we have any questions about sparkle at all?
I have one.
Okay.
After you press white,
Mm-hmm.
would you be able to sublimate on it?
Ooh, so somebody asked if you're able to press white. Is that one of our folks that asked that and prompted me, or is that?
It is not.
Okay, nice. I like that. Well, that's a great question. So the question was, can you sublimate on the sparkle white? Okay, I was going to get into this kind of towards the end of this live, but over on the Siser NA website, okay, under the materials and then sublimation, and then you'll go to sublimation compatible materials, there's actually a huge list of all of our materials that are sublimatable. And you can see there's a ton of glitter options in here. There are a ton of holographic options, which is a material we'll get into next. But right there you can see there's your clear sparkle, there's your snowstorm sparkle, and the buttercup yellow, which are 3 colors of sparkle that are all sublimatable, or we have found the most success with. And all colors are not alike, okay? If you are applying a design with red onto a red material, obviously that red is gonna disappear, okay? So we do have over on Siser NA / sublimation compatible materials is where you can find that entire list of sublimation. Thank you for asking the question. You actually made me jump ahead a little bit because I wanted to give you that as a surprise at the end. But in future classes coming up, when we start talking about print and cut, when we start talking about more in depth on like what you can do with these materials, one of those materials we're going to be working with is going to be all sublimation. So we're going to do a whole class on sublimation, sublimation markers, also what materials you can sublimate on, and do a little bit of testing with all of that for that class. So that'll be coming up, but for now you have all this information available for you at your convenience. So with that, let's go on to, do we have any big questions coming in? Okay, cool. That means we're explaining stuff and I like it. All right, so let's go on from Sparkle and move right on over into holographic. Now, holographic's gonna be a little bit of a conversation, and I know this because a lot of people ask us about it, and we claim, or we talk about what we consider the faux rhinestone. So any of you rhinestone makers out there, this is gonna be a really fun one for you to kind of learn if you've never seen holographic or what it is. So holographic is a laser-friendly material, also is a heat applicable, and we've definitely reigned supreme on a cosplay favorite. So we've got a lot of our cosplay friends too that are using these materials. And I do have to make mention on our website as well, underneath each description is all of the certifications. So all products here at Siser certified with your CPSIA have things like your vegan OK stamp, your REACH compliant, your Prop 65 in California, your recyclable stamp, your BPI free. All of those are available for you to view too inside SiserNA.com that are all attached with all of these designs. And then if you are in Leonardo Design Studio as well, just as a secondary place to touch, we do have a material library where you can go through and you can select from any material in the Siser lineup. It'll give you all of that same information that you get right from our website, but also gives you those certifications on that page. So there's multiple ways within the Siser world, or the Siserverse as we'll call it, there's multiple ways to find all of this information. You can watch us, myself, you can watch Stephanie, you can watch all of the awesome certified trainers and content creators and brand partners that we have out there. You can go to our website, you can go to our Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all of our social media, or you can just hop into Leonardo. So we've given you 10 or 15 or 20 or 6 billion different ways to find this information too, but I like that we can just show it to you and kind of teach it step by step as well. So with holographic, It's a little bit different of a library than you're used to seeing with a normal EasyWeed or say glitter. All of the materials kind of look the same in those, just the difference of the colors. Well, as you can see with holographic, there are a few different versions of holographic that we have. We have our holographic flake, which is small little tiny flakes kind of embedded, there we go, with a really cool little kaleidoscope of colors that you're able to achieve with the holographic material. So that's more of the flake. We also, kind of traveling down the line, we also have holographic crystal, which, not to be confused with the flake, it just has larger bits of holographic pieces of kind of laid on to that the skin of that material, really giving you a fun color shift as you move the material. And then we have one more that fall into that holographic category, which is all of our holographic pearls. So this right here is our Mystic Pearl. Kind of has a fun mirrored effect. And so as you get into the holographic line, you go from your smaller particles, you go into your bigger crystals, and then you start getting into more of your mirrored finishes with the holographic line. So all of this available on the website to view and see, but definitely 3 distinctions I wanted to show you in there. Adam, did you have something?
No.
Oh, okay, cool. I just want to make sure. I didn't know if you had your hand up for something. Okay, no, that's fine. Picking his nose, no big deal. Calling him out on part 2. No, I'm just kidding. He's not. All right, so with that, over on the website itself as well, one thing that we're going to see right away is we don't have that layerable tab, okay? So using that fake layering method is going to be best for using the holographic. However, one really fun thing, and I know it's kind of giving it away here a little bit, and one attribute that we've added, one thing that we found that works really well with the holographic material is the fact that you can actually create faux rhinestones out of it. And I'm going to show you a quick application, show you how to make that really fast here in a second. But I want to get through some of the technical information on holographic before we hop into that. So as you can see, all of your major garment types this is going to apply to. It's going to apply well, and it's going to last a really long time. Which is great. All of your cut settings, as we've mentioned in each of these, are all available for you right there. Also too, this product, much like a glitter, does apply a little bit higher temperature than a standard heat transfer material. Applies at about 320 degrees or 160 degrees Celsius. And then it also is a 15 to 20 second application, okay? And it is a cold peel. So with that, when you are applying your holographic, you definitely want to make sure that you really give it ample time to cool off before you peel it, because it is a material that can have tendency to prematurely fail if you don't treat it appropriate or treat it in the right way, okay? You got to be nice to your heat transfers, guys. You got to be nice to them. So with that, we also have a video that's coming out Friday. Tomorrow. It's time stamped here, but tomorrow, Friday, there's actually a video coming out showing 2 ways to use rhinestones, and we're going to actually show in depth on how to create faux rhinestones using the holographic. So check out that tomorrow over on the Siser North America main YouTube channel once that's available. Or if you're replaying right now, that means the video's out. So go over to our main channel. I know you're in the playlist right now, but go over to the main channel, find that 2 ways to use rhinestone video, and you can learn a thing or two. Teach yourself a thing or two about the fun of using holographic. So with that, let's go into Leonardo Design Studio really quickly. And I want to show you guys how to create a faux rhinestone design using the rhinestone module in Leonardo. We're going to do a quick application of it, and then we're going to move on to 2 other materials that we have here at Siser. So I'm going to pull up a new page. I'm going to bring up just a heart. I feel like this is the easiest to show you guys because it happens really quickly with our rhinestone module of how fast all of this works. So if I have a shape or a design on screen, what I can do is I can come down to the Build Contours menu in Leonardo Design Studio Pro, and then 2 away from that contour is going to be the rhinestone template. Once I select it, you can see automatically that my design is going to be either outlined, or if my last remembered fill was an actual fill, it will automatically start placing my rhinestones for me, okay? So this is a really intuitive platform. It's really awesome to actually have in software, because as some of you guys know in the rhinestone world, those softwares can be expensive and they're also inconsistent. So paying for it and the inconsistency can add a lot of trouble for you. And then inside Leonardo, not only can you do a border fill only, you can do just a fill only, or you can actually do both by doing a a line fill and filling in your shape. Now, the other options that you have is a ton of colorways as far as rhinestones, and all of your standard sizes. Actually, all sizes available in rhinestones are available in Leonardo as well. But one of the best parts about this for anybody out there that might be a business owner is that you actually have a cost calculator right within the software and inside this module. So I can put how much my cost is per stone, how many stones does it make to actually create this design, and then it will give me my total cost to me based on that information that I'm putting in. So a really awesome tool that you have. And then over on the actual manipulation tools, you have different ways that you can fill in your shapes as well as all of your spacing and things like that. So definitely get in and play with that. If you haven't already, check out the video of 2 ways to use rhinestones. That'll give you a lot more information on the module itself. But once we've actually created our design, I'm just going to fill it really quick. Hit accept. And then you can see that unlike other rhinestone modules, we actually keep the original shape for you. And then here is my rhinestone template. And this is ready to cut, weed, and apply. Now I know that for a lot of you guys, when you see this, this looks like a lot of weeding, and I understand. But remember, with a rhinestone template, there actually is no 2 portions of the design that are ever touching. So this is all a single peel. There is no cavities in this design, even though it looks very, very cavity rich, okay? So hopping on over to the heat press, we're gonna do a quick application of probably one of my, this is the first trade show sample that I ever pressed when I started at Siser. It's actually the first trade show sample I've ever weeded out, but it's also been a big staple of our trade shows for a very long time. And this is just a quick little rhinestone sample that was made showing a little anchor. And you can see, actually I'll go on the overhead for this one. There you go, you can kind of see it there. As you can see too with this rhinestone template, this is just a simple single line shape, and then it was made into rhinestones, but all of these are completely flat because we're actually using the holographic silver. We're using that heat transfer material, so everything actually ends up being flat on the garment. So we'll go on over to the shirt here. I'm going to, you know what I'll do? Let me grab another one. Grab this, and I'm going to peel this for you because I know that for a lot of you guys, it's satisfying to see holographic peeled in the rhinestone. So we got a good shot of that, Adam?
Yes.
Cool. Look at that. This is what I love about the peel of a rhinestone template. Bingo, done. So from there, I can then now take my design, apply it to my garment, cover it on up, and then I'm going to heat apply that again. Right now my temperature is a little bit lower than what's recommended, but that's going to be okay for this application. I'm going to actually apply it just for the full time. So I got 12 seconds or 15 seconds on here. We're at about 2 seconds right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually pull this garment off, and I'm just going to set it down off to the side. We're going to let that cool for a second before we actually peel that material off, and then we're going to get a really, really good visual of what that rhinestone template or that rhinestone design can look like. And again, rhinestone template is available in Leonardo Design Studio. If you have your own design software, some come with rhinestone templates, some get you part of the way there, some don't have them at all. So one of the big benefits of Leonardo is that you can actually go in, download the software. You can have Leonardo Pro and use it just as a design software for all of the tools and modules, export your artwork from there, and then bring it on over into your software of choice if you find that you don't have either an adequate one or don't have one of these tools or modules in general. Do we have any questions just while I'm letting this cool off? I want to give it a couple seconds.
We did have one.
Okay.
I had answered it in the chat, but maybe you could go over it.
Okay.
What are the does the offset mean on those cut settings?
Ooh, that's a really good. Are you talking about for like blade offset?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So the question is, what does offset mean when we're talking about blades and we're talking about cutting and all of that kind of stuff? And I'm going to show you in Leonardo actually, because I usually pull up this little diagram or make this every time somebody asks, and it's a great question. So I'm just going to make really quickly blade. So you guys are going to see rapid fire how fast I can make a cutting blade inside Leonardo. There we go. There's that. Bingo. We're going to rotate that, make it a little bit bigger, give it a little ring here because we got the little lock ring on there. Make that goldish or somewhere in the gold realm. There we go. All right, so we got our little Siser blade that we just made. That was actually pretty quick, a lot faster than I thought I was going to do. And then we'll make this red just for consistency of our blade type. There we go. Okay. So offset when we're talking about blades or when we're talking about anything that has to do with the Siser world, okay, or when you're cutting in general, let me make that a little bit more of a 45-degree blade. There we go. Okay, and we'll change that to silver or so. Yeah, there we go. Somewhere, it's somewhere in the ballpark. There we go. You guys get the point. This is a blade. All right. And then we'll just drop this right behind. Perfect. So the offset of a blade itself, okay, when we're talking about cutting with any type of material, we typically have, I don't want to do that. I want to do just a line, and we'll bring that, make it a little bit smaller. You typically have a line. We'll just say this is our little pretend line that we have here. Right there. Will run basically in the center of that barrel, okay? So we're just going to pretend that the center of our blade holder, there's an imaginary line running through it. The offset is how far of a distance from that center little invisible line we're talking about is to the actual tip of the blade. So sometimes you'll hear 0.025 for offset. That means that this is 0.025 or whatever the equivalent of millimeters is from the tip of the blade to the center of the barrel. So when we have a blade, and actually we'll hop just really quick on the front cam. So when you have a blade that's actually running, okay, and cutting, a lot of times that offset tells the blade how much further the actual blade housing needs to go so that the tip of the blade is in the appropriate path of your design. So a lot of times if you have an offset that's too high, what you'll find is really, really rounded edges or really rounded corners. Or if you find, actually I have one, I think, if we can see it well enough. The one piece, I did cut this. Can you see this corner really well, Adam, of this?
Yeah.
Okay, so this corner, you can see that this actually kind of has like a little tooth or a little spot that shoots away from it. This means that my offset was a little too high, which means that the actual barrel of the blade went too far past that 90-degree angle it was supposed to hit. So the actual blade had to kind of go past the point of that shape and then circle back to actually hit that line. So this is really what happens when we have an offset that may be too high. We may notice that the blade overshoots and then has to course correct and come back, which leaves these little like barbs on the edges of all of the like corners of a design. And then if it's too shallow, meaning that it's too small of an offset, what you actually find is really like large radiuses to your design. So it won't offshoot and create like a little horn, but it'll just kind of round the actual design itself, not giving you the appropriate. So for any Siser standard blades in Siser equipment, for any of the bug blades and bug equipment, those are usually pre-calibrated to your machine. But if you are using any third-party blades, or in the case of the deep cut blade, you may have to make a quick adjustment in software. Now for us, we've actually put the deep cut blade in software now. So over on the Send Design screen, and I'll show you really quickly where it's at, inside Leonardo, I can actually change from my Siser standard blade, which is your standard 60 or 45 degree, or I can change it over to my deep cut blade, which will just automatically change that offset. So I know the offset conversation is usually one that's confusing. That's been the best way that I've been able to explain it to folks. I'm hoping that that translates the right way. Any other quick questions before we move on? Awesome, okay. We are on to, we're on to the two last ones. We are coming up to the end of this, guys. Give me two more of these and then we are good to go. But before, let's get one quick peel in front of the heat press cam of the holographic, okay? Ready? Bingo, bango, there you go. So that right there is how you can take holographic heat transfer material, create a rhinestone template, which we just showed you in software, and now this is completely flat to the garment itself. So that means that I don't have to worry about abrasion, or I don't have to worry about any friction, anything touching this, and the rhinestone's falling off. This is completely flat. And the cool part about it is, because there's a ton of dead space around the design, it is super, super soft as comparison to if you had real rhinestones. They typically are a little bit rougher on the excuse me, I'm so sorry, on the garment itself. So, all right. Moving on, the next material that we're going to talk about is our Easy Reflective. So let me hop over into the website. I really like showing it based on the website because I feel like This gives all the technical information out there to you guys. It's a great place to reference back later on, but then we can kind of talk through it as we move on. So Easy Reflective, not to be confused with our old Easy Reflective or old reflective material. We've just added to that line. So there's 4 available colors. You have silver, you have dark gray, aqua, and then you also have rainbow black. And I did bring, oh, this is the rainbow black. Wonder if we can see this. Oh, you know what I might have to do, Adam? We might have to kill the light really quick. Let me see if I can get this to really pop too. You can really see, hopefully, the rainbow in there. There we go. There you go. Really, really cool, really fun material. I should probably actually flash the actual material instead of the table. There we go. Cool. All right. So move on from that. Let me put this on the table so we still have it. But with our Easy Reflective, it's an awesome material that not only has a little bit of flexibility to it, but it also is really great for nighttime use. There's a promo video that we made a while back showing this, and we actually went out at night to shoot that one, and you could really see the pop of that garment and the pop of that design on there. But with that, Easy Reflective is a laserable, a laser-friendly material, should I say. It is a layerable material. However, there's a little distinction in here that it is a top layer only. So you can really identify by these diagrams if it is a solid material on top, that is a top layer only. If it is something where all of these are all solid colors or solid shapes, then that means that it's layerable top or bottom. Okay, so the reflective is a top layer only. So one thing that we're getting out of this, minus the actual sparkle material, is all of these, that fake knockout method or that fake layering method that Lily did, that blog, is holding very true for this entire class. So make sure that you head over to the website, check out that blog when you get an opportunity. Again, home iron, easy press, you can use them, no big deal. And then this also applies to all your standard materials with the addition to nylon. So materials that may have a little bit more stretch, a little bit more give to them, these are great for those as well. This material applies, again, right at that standard time and temp of about 305 degrees or 150 degrees Celsius for about 5 to 10 seconds. And this material itself is actually a warm peel, but we do recommend leaving it off of the press for about 5 to 6 seconds and then peeling that carrier on hot. Let's see, with that, I want to get into, because there's not really a ton of like show and tell for this, but I want to actually show you some of the things that were made with the reflective material itself. And I got some of those garments here. So we'll go with the standard. This is everybody's standard. You run a concert hall, you run any of that, you need a security staff, but you also got to be able to see your security staff at night, and you got to know where they're at. So this is one that was just quickly made. Let's see. Ooh. This one right here is a little bit more extensive. This is actually that rainbow. Oops, I should probably throw it the right way, sorry. There we go, cool. So this is that rainbow. Let's kill the light and see if I can get it maybe on the design itself. Let's see. That's kind of working out. That working out good, there you go. So you can really see that reflection. And I just noticed too, I might have cheated on this one, because on the website, if you hop over to the website view, it's literally the same thumbnail. I didn't realize I grabbed the same shirt. Nice, all right, cool. And then this is a really fun one too. So this is, and we don't have to have the light off for this one, but this is a really cool one too, because this is more of like a tone on tone, if you can see that well on camera. So we're using that gray or dark gray, but it's on a gray hoodie. It just kind of makes it, I don't know, makes it pop to me. All righty. Okay, so the next one that we're going to move on to, and then I'm going to do a little bit of show and tell while we're answering any questions, move all of that, is going to be Aurora. Now, Aurora is a little bit different of a material, okay? This feels a little bit more, at least to me, like a fabric or a twill type material, okay? It feels very much like a fabric with a heat transferable adhesive on the back. And you can see a couple of the different colorways, Borealis Teal and Parakeet, which yesterday I made a small distinction that I was actually wrong on. If you see these two materials, so these are the two in the Aurora line, and I'll throw it up on screen too, that are pretty close or similar in color scheme. However, you can tell them the Borealis Teal has more of a blue and green hue to it, whereas the Parakeet has more of like a green and then like darker navy or purplish hue to it. So these two are really, really fun colors in the Aurora line. I didn't bring out all of the Aurora because I have them over in software right now. So we'll throw that there. And then hopping onto the website, you can see right here that in the Aurora, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 total colors, which gives you a massive variety of opportunity with design. And you can see in this thumbnail right here on the website, you can really see that fabric-like finish to the Aurora pop really, really well in some of these macro shots that we got. Now with Aurora, it does apply to all of your standard materials. Now the application instructions are slightly different. With the Aurora itself, 305 degrees, again, for about 15 seconds, but much like the holographic material, make sure that it is completely cold to the touch before you're removing that carrier. And then kind of cruising up towards the top, it is a layerable product. So that means that Aurora can be layered not only by itself, but can be layered, or it can be layered as a top layer or a bottom layer. It doesn't matter what orientation that is, but it's a laser-friendly product. Again, cosplay favorite. All you cosplayers out there loving some of these materials, so we're really appreciative of that. But the material itself shows extremely well. So here's what I want to do. I want to go through just a couple of different garments, do some show and tell, open up the room for any questions. So if you guys have questions, ask away. But we're going to show you the differences in some of these materials and show you some of the really fun ways that we've been able to use them. So over on the overhead, I already showed you, obviously, the softball bow, but this I think is a really cool use case for not only the material, but also for just creating your own thing. Basically, you know, starting to create businesses and stuff for yourself. With that, we also have, ooh, this one's fun. This is kind of a mixed media design. This is a mix between Easy Weed, which is the white layer itself, and then you have a couple layers, the pink as well as the blue jean, I think it's called, of the actual sparkle kind of made into like this little drop shadowy effect. Now with the glitter, you guys obviously know with glitter, it's always fun to make anything with glitter, but you can see that we're using that fake layering or that knockout method kind of all over the place. You have your gold, you have your red, and then you also have your white glitter, but all of these pieces are actually knocked out of these designs themselves, which makes it apply all to the fabric alone without actually applying material on top of material, if that makes sense. And then with the Aurora, this is one that I actually did yesterday, and I thought this turned out really, really cool. Big thank you to our graphics team for making this number up for me. But this is a way to use the Aurora because the Aurora pattern runs vertically on the material, which means that when I see the material, it's all running this way. What we basically did is we cut part of our design out where the material is running one way, and then we cut another portion of our design out where the material is running a different way. So we could really get this kind of fun, like 3D style digital effect out of the material, but you still get that iridescent color shift from edge to edge, which is always fun. Let's see what else we got. Another great use case, and so this is actually Stephanie's here. She made it and gave it to us to use as samples as well. But this is an awesome use case for glitter. So one of the big attributes of glitter is that it is a tearaway style material, which means that you can use it for applique, you can use it with your embroidery machine, and then you can physically do your tack down stitch, place a sheet of your material on over where your design is going to be, do another tack down stitch to make sure the material is in place, tear away the edges, and then do all of your sim stitching around to really cover that up and make it look really, really beautiful. So shout out to Stephanie for that one. And then this is another really fun one that's using all colors of Twinkle in one singular press. So as we get into more design specific lives, I'm going to show you guys how you can do things like apply all colors, or there's 4 different colors of Twinkle inside just one simple design, and apply it all at the same time too. Make it really easy for you. And then we have, we got to give him this one, Adam. This one, call back, well, if you're watching the replay, call back to the YouTube video, but this is the actual shirt we made on the Rhinestone video. But this is 4 different colors of our holographic material, all used for that Rhinestone effect. So a really fun way to show that effect off. And then I had one last one. Oh, Emily would beat me up if she knew that I didn't show this one. that concert tee always looks better, especially at nighttime. The concert tee is always gonna look way, way better at night. So this is another really fun use case of the reflective. Okay, I just wanted to show this one shirt because I thought this was pretty awesome. So we've talked about so far, we've talked about Twinkle, we've talked about Sparkle, we've talked about Holographic, we talked about Aurora, and we've talked about a lot of stuff. Yeah, so we showed the reflective. This is actually incorporating multiple application types and multiple materials. So we not only have glitter, which is our gold, we have some holographic green, and I know it was just St. Patrick's Day, so I wanted to make sure that we showed this, but have some green holographic in there. We have some green twinkle, which again was our last layer that we applied, so we could still keep that twinkle effect, but then we've capped it off with the Aurora in the light green as well. So really fun, really easy, really simple use cases, really quick and easy ways to show like this sparkle shirt, which is really fun, showing multiple colors of the sparkle material to kind of create one design. Or even if we're doing it at the most simplistic level, this right here is a fun pair of overalls that were made with just subtle accents of glitter within the pockets, which really kind of tie this whole, you know, outfit together, this whole garment together really well. So that is HTV 101 Part 2. We've covered a ton of different things here, and I'm really excited about Part 3 that will be coming up actually next Thursday. What's the date for next Thursday, Adam? Really quick, somebody? 27th. Okay, sorry. I should have known that because we've scheduled it, and I should have known. But yeah, on the 27th at the 7 p.m. hour, I will be back here with you guys. We're going to be going over some dimensional materials. We're going to go over some dimensional looks. We're going to go over some really, really fun stuff with you guys coming up. And then after that, we have covered not only Leonardo Design Studio, Romeo and Juliet, how to use the software. We've covered multiple HTV, Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3. We've covered all of the Siserverse. After next week, we're going to start getting into how to create your own SVGs, how to create print and cut designs. So I know I prompted you guys on the first live about sending in all of your business logos and stuff. You're definitely going to want to register for those coming up next month because I will be asking you live potentially to send me in your logos and your designs so that we can actually use those as examples, being that we have your permission, use those as examples during the live to really show you in depth what you're able to do with your business logos, your fun designs, your fun everything, okay? Do we have any questions before we head out? Any questions, anybody? Good? Cool. All right, well, guys, listen, I would be remiss if I did not plug all of the Siser socials. So Siser North America on every platform, everywhere. It doesn't matter. We are everywhere for, well, exclude a few, but we're everywhere. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on all the stuff. I know Adam's probably popping them all up right now. If you ever have any questions about any Siser products or want to learn more, you can always reach out to us at info@siserna.com. That's the best place to get all of that information. We have an awesome customer service team and inside sales team that's really answering all of those questions. And if you guys have suggestions and you're watching the replay or you're just watching this, drop a comment down below. Let us know what you guys want to see. Send us an email over to social@SiserNA if you want to ask about upcoming lives or you have any cool, fun things that we can add or do in these lives. We definitely want to make sure that we tailor them for you. But other than that, HTV 101 Part 2, Siser Afternoon is officially over. You guys have a wonderful rest of your day. And if you're replaying, thank you guys so much for hanging out until the end. We'll see you next week or next time with another Siser After Dark. Bye, everyone.